Welcome back to Unpaid Film Critic. It's been one day. Yeah, I know, back-to-back reviews. Great, changed my style, but let's just see how good it is. Alright. Today's review I will be reviewing is Pearl, directed by Ty West, starring Mia Goth as Pearl, a woman who wants to become an actress. This film was actually all filmed back-to-back with another film of his called X. And the plot of Pearl is takes place on a farm, and it's definitely a twisted version of Wizard of Oz. What I say by that is, Pearl is a way more interesting version of Dorothy, as in, what if the tornado never came in at all, and she stood stuck on this farm? Isolationist, set in World War One with her husband fighting off in World War One, and since it was filmed during the pandemic, they were wearing masks. But the way they alterated the masks into this generation is because since it's set during World War One, there's the Spanish flu going on, or influenza, and it's very interesting watching that happen. I found that particularly interesting how a director was able to use stuff like that as a plot mechanic in there, and not to break the illusion of the film's time period. I have to say, it is basically a love letter to classic 1920s musicals. 1920s musicals like, the main one is Wizard of Oz, and watching Pearl spiral into madness. Mia Goth, she is the next Kathy Bates, in my opinion. I believe she's great at playing these unhinged characters that can suddenly snap into a murderous rage at any moment, and anything can just tick her off and make her go insane. A lot of this film was basically, I wouldn't say low budget, but the score is very classical film style score, like scores you would hear in the 1920s or 1930s of filmmaking. It's very unique. I'm a huge fan of musicals, so for me, I love the score of this film. But going back to it, it is also, the kills in this film are very unique, and all of them don't feel drab or normal. They all feel unique in different ways. I'm not saying who dies. I'm just saying, for a film of this quality, it is very interesting. Also, throughout the film, it's very interesting seeing what type of films she wants to do. Let's just say adult filmmaking. Basically, it rhymes with corn. Let's just say the certain films that they talk about there are silent, French-made corn films. I'm saying corn, but if you understand what rhymes with corn, you get what I'm going at? Okay, I'm trying to talk about it, but without triggering YouTube's analytics. I'm not really going into the analytics, more or less. What YouTube is willing to censor sometimes. Yeah. As for that, Mia Goth plays excellent. I really liked her. I know I'm saying to myself, but I have to say, she is magnificent in this film. This film is really good, although I do think that this film was probably one of the best horror movies that was made during the lockdown of 2020. I mean, it's been 4 years since the lockdown started, and we got out of lockdown, like, I think 2 years ago. Judging by 2022 was probably the end of COVID. So watching this film now, rewatching, it's kind of like, whoa, we've come this far. I just find that unique. I just find that unique on how they were able to make such a great movie with such very little, with like on Zoom, and they were able to do it without like being in the same room as much. Like, you can really tell, like, this film was made during the height of the pandemic, and they were able to warp it in, which I found very unique. I found very unique because many films that were released by then didn't really try to weave a pandemic in, or they tried to, but it didn't work as well. I think this film works better with it than without it. I mean, I'm just trying to see what it would have looked like without the pandemic, but you can't really, since there is a pandemic going on in the plot, which I found was very unique. Yeah, so I rate this film 6. And yeah, I mean, I think this film is a great film. I highly recommend it, and it is on Amazon Prime for free, or you can rent it on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend you guys watch it. It's really good. Directed by Ty West, starring Mia Goth. It is really good. I know it's ain't really good. But, yeah, my next film I'll be reviewing next time will be Trap. I know Trap does not take place on the timeline, but I'm going to do Trap next, because I recently saw it. It's a thriller film that involves a concert, and, yeah,